So today we're going to do a tire replacement and brake pad replacement on the rear tire of a CBR 1000, 2017 to 2019. But this also works for other sport bikes. I mean, it'll even work for a little 50cc that I have over there. It's the same principle, almost the same procedure for everything. But we are doing it by the book, and torque specifications as well as what size sockets you'll need will be mentioned in the video. And I wanted to do this once because I don't have work right now because of our situation with the disease and everything, but two, also because I've also relied on a lot of these YouTube videos in the past to help do this kind of stuff to my bike, and now I'm giving back to the communities. First thing we're going to need to do is get this bike on a stand. So let's get this on the rear stand. We'll move our tools out of the way that we're going to use for this operation. And the tools you'll need for a Honda anyways are going to be a 32 millimeter socket, a torque wrench, of course. This thing is horribly inaccurate though, but it's good enough for putting on a rear tire. The old brake pads, because we're going to actually put on a different tire that has a different rotor, and the brake pads are seated already to that rotor. But I mean, it'd be the same thing if you were going to just replace this tire and go take it to the shop and then bring it back. You could just reuse the same brake pads if there's still plenty of meat on them. But I have to, since we're using a different tire, have to use different brake pads. All right, and breaker bar, because you want to remove the nut with the breaker bar, not with a torque wrench. Torque wrench is only for tightening. Breaker bars are for removing. Never want to tighten or remove something with your torque wrenches. So we get the stand, and we'll get the bike on the stand. To get the bike on the stand, you're going to put the bike on each one of these little pegs it has here. Some stands have it to where you don't have to use, what are those called, sliders, but this one does. All right. Now we got this thing on here. It's basically just one nut to remove the tire. To do that, we're going to take this here, put that there. Now the book says that we need 100 foot-pounds of torque when we tighten it. So it's going to be on there pretty damn tight. And I'm mildly dyslexic, so I have to go like a clock. So that's tightening, that's loosening. If I don't do that, I'll end up over tightening or over loosening. So I'll just take that off. It's pretty easy once you break it free. I'll go this way. Take this out. It doesn't really matter how the washer goes back on. I'm kind of a neat freak, so I'll put it back on the same way I took it off each time. You don't have to though. All right. So we'll just pull out the rear axle, and that goes on. See, I think that was like that. I think it was like that. We'll just slide that out, and there's your rear axle. Comes right off. There's one of the spacers already kind of came off on the left side. I think, in my experience, even the little dirt bikes have spacers on their wheels. All right, so we got that's the brake assembly, which we'll get back to that here in a second. Actually, you know what? I should have left that on and loosened it, but can retroactively do it. It's just going to be harder this way. There we go. That wasn't too bad. I'm going to pull out this pin. So we're just going to take that out. Got the neighbor's kids driving by. All right, there goes the pin. And the pads should just pop right out. And there's the pads. And we will save these because they're still pretty good, but they go to the street tire. We're going to put the track tire on. All right, so again, ideally this, you don't want it to like scratch the rim or anything. I'm just going to hold it like that. I'm going to pull out the spacer on the right side, which goes there. The spacer will go to the wheel, and then the other spacer attaches on the other side of the sprocket, which I'll show you here in a second when I take it out. So this part is not as easy as you might think, because you have to hold the tire up with one hand and kind of wriggle the sprocket out with the other hand. And there it goes. Comes right out. And it's a little clip that'll go inside the brake caliper, just like this. I kind of twist it for you to see. Here's the sprocket that came out on the other side. This is where your left side spacer is going to go on this side when you put it back together. Over here. And on the wheel itself, all these little rubber pieces here is part of the cush drive, and they kind of mount like this. And that's going to be a real pain to put them back in later when we do it when we have to remount the tire. But it's pretty simple. It just goes like that. You don't need to lube these or anything. Some people put baby powder on them so that they slide back and forth. I'm just going to leave it alone and put it back in the other bike. All right, so here is the brake pads. Each brake pad has a little clip on them, which we'll remove. Here's the other clip for this one. And it's real easy how they go, because you'll already have an imprint kind of on how they go. You just line them up just exactly how that little imprint is. And you take them off. These don't need to be marked. The front ones will be marked when we do the video for the front wheels, but these go in one way. You can't really mess them up and put them in the other way. They have to go in this way. It's like foolproof almost. And we'll set this aside for the track. And we'll do it this way. Now for this, what you want to do is just take your spacer and put it back here. Sometimes if you're real anal about it, like I'll get that way sometimes, and I'll clean this completely off with grease. And it's fine if you do that, but when you put it back in, you'd want to cover it with just a little bit of grease here. And not for any other reason. Well, I only do it doesn't say to do it in the book, but I do it because it holds the collar in place so it doesn't kind of slide out when you jimmy it in there. And it might still slide out when we do it here in a second. All right, so that goes there. And we'll have to get the cush drive pieces in there, like we were just talking about. It's dog hair. Don't pay attention to that. Pretty sure it won't hurt anything though. Once this wheel starts spinning, it'll burn off the dog hair. So we'll put in our cush drive. Just like this. And like this. And the book is just going to tell you, replace the tire. Same way you took it off. It's not any more detailed, and honestly I need to work on being more detailed since this is my first video. But these little things here are going to go in between the cush drive when I set it in. I'm not going to do that right now and there's a spacer on the sprocket. It could potentially fall off. It's pretty sticky actually right now, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to actually take the sprocket and seat it back in the chain. Slide it back into place over here. This is going to require a lot of muscling around and stuff. I highly recommend using a skateboard. So I'm going to use my daughter's skateboard here to help fit it into that spot. Or a partner. Cobra could help me, but he's doing the technical stuff of videoing and things like that. So, and you're going to want to do this at home by yourself anyway. So it's best I show you how I sit here and struggle with it, and then you can do it. We're going to leave the pads out of there for right now, I think. Actually, no, we should put the pads in. All right, we'll get the other pads. So here's the old pads. Nope, it's not the old pads. We got the old pads down here already. Here's the old pads. We got the little backing that we put on there kind of loosely. Make sure that you can put this hole through here, and you want to make sure that both holes are clear so you can put the little pin through both holes. And then also when you get to the brake caliper, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little bucket in it that pushes the pads up against the disc when you're ready to stop. That bucket you can actually move with your fingers all the way back. I have real meaty fingers, so I can move it pretty easy. If you don't, you can also use a C-clamp, just to C-clamp it flush to the other side. From here, you can kind of tell that the bucket will seat on this pad, so this goes on this side. Also, these holes are on the back, so the pin will go through there. So I'll just sit that in there right now. Oh, that thing's backwards. So we're gonna put this back in. Let's see, how would this go? There it is. It has two little notches where these little things sink in. So we're just going to sink that in those little notches. Hopefully it'll hold. All right, that's in there. And this pad on the left side will go in like so. Okay, the other pad, which kind of fits to the other side, will go in like that. And then we'll just take our little pin, which holds the pad in place, and slide it through all the holes there. There's really nothing to that. This has to go back into place, but let's get the sprocket and the cush drive pushed back into the wheel before we mess with that anymore. That just kind of sits, balances there. It'll probably fall out a couple more times, though. And now, get this thing in play. I'm going to go ahead and take this spacer off the sprocket because that can go on later. If not, it's just going to fall out. And I'm sure the spacer on this side will fall out eventually as well. So the pad's got to straddle the rotor. All right, we're going to use this thing here just to hold the caliper and brake assembly out of the way because it's bothering me. Doesn't really matter where you do it at. Here and here. You could also tie it to your rear pegs. I don't have rear pegs though because my feet are abnormally large and they kind of hit the back of the pegs. So I take them off. But when I give the kids a ride, I put the pegs on. And just a little bit of safety wire. Tie that out of the way. Let's get to struggling with this with the sprocket now. That's fine. All right. And it fell out. You son of a bitch. Sorry, I might want to edit out the cussing. Don't put cussing in the video. make this look easier in post. And I used my sweat towel for the brake pads. Don't want to use that again on my face because it's known to have chemicals in the state of California that cause cancer. But a lot of things that cause cancer. All right. So, where are we going to go about this? There we go. I got it up a little higher.
Jason's still here?
Yeah, Jason's still here. Yes, he's still here. Cobra's still here.
Daddy, do you want to put the fence now?
No, not yet. Just changing out the wheels, Papa. Okay.
Why he's with the camera?
Because he's filming it.
What?
Because he's filming it.
What?
Because he's filming me do the change. So we can show other people how to do it. And hopefully they get better at it than Daddy.
Okay, Daddy, I'm going to come and say okay.
All right, Papa. We'll see you later. And we'll put it back in. I'll take that off. There, I'll set this towards the camera so you can see what I'm doing on this side. Oh yeah, much easier like that. So maybe I should have done it this way to begin with. You know what? I need my wooden mallet. Yes, Drews? There you go. Just kind of tap it in. Make sure it's nice and firm in there. Not too hard. We'll spin it around and so squeeze the spacer back in. Keep in mind though that the spacer might come out again because they do that sometimes. And you just got to put it back. Get some wire cutters to cut the safety wire. Just cut this here. There we go. Because now we got to put the brake assembly back into its spot. So we'll take this off. Oh, there goes the spacer, which we said would happen. Looks like I'm a fortune teller. All right, and we gotta bring this down. There we go. And then this little thing will, this little block here will go in a little holder on the inside of the swing arm. And it'll just kind of sit there. The only thing that holds that to the swing arm is the axle. And we'll put that in a second. Right now we need to make sure that that straddles the rear rotor. All right, now we'll use our skateboard. You could also use a 2x4 or a 2x6. So, is the spacer still on this side? Because that's very important. Yep, spacer's still on this side. Is the spacer on the other side? No, the spacer is not on the other side. So we're going to put the spacer back into play. And I know as I put the spacer in, it'll probably pop out again. But it's just a constant struggle. Sometimes you can put a little grease on it. I think I mentioned this earlier, just to help it stay in place. So the axle, book says coat the axle with a light bit of grease. It's already got grease on it, so I'm not going to stress out too much about it. You can put a little thin layer of grease like that. And that's just so when you have to pull this out the next time for the next tire change, it comes out easier. And it'll slide out. You don't have to use your Thor type hammer to take it out. So, use my third hand, my bottom. Ah, there goes the other, push that back. All right, there we go. Everything's good now. The brake assembly's where it's supposed to be. That's there. And there's the axle. Voila! Magic. But it's not all the way in. Damn it. There it goes. Now it's all the way in. And your new wheel is on there. Sorta. Alright, so now got that there. There. Let's put these things back on. There's a little notch here that indicates how tight it is on this side and on the other side, and that notch should line up. Actually, it should be facing downward so that it shows you on these little measurement units how far away it is on this side and how far it is on that side, so your chain doesn't sit cattywampus. You want it equal distance. Now I've found that a lot of times, just because this little line is matched up here and it's matched up on the same amount of spaces on the other side of the axle, the chain will still sit cattywampus on it because these things aren't real accurate. The best way to do that is to, well, they have tools for it to align the chain. I like to just sit here and spin it and wait till the sprocket gets right in the middle of the chain. But it's already set, so I don't really have to mess with it during a wheel change. That could be a different video altogether. I'm going off into a tangent there. All right, so now we're going to put on this washer there and this nut here. And in shop class, they said if you reverse it, the threads, when you put it on, go counterclockwise and make sure you don't cross thread it. And go like that. Now, you don't have to, but I still do it sometimes. All right, there we go. And now to tighten it to torque specifications, which on this particular bike is 100 foot-pounds of torque. I had a 2006 CBR 1000, and that was only 83 foot-pounds of torque. But we'll do what the book says. So go ahead and tighten it. And like I said, this thing isn't horribly accurate, but it's good enough for this purpose. Should be good. Now, if you were going to a CMRA racing event, or you're messing around with the track day organization that is real particular, they might ask you to safety wire the rear wheel. That's not a big deal if you have to do it. You can pre-drill. I actually drilled this nut while it was on the axle. Kind of came at it like this with the drill and put a hole in it. And that's where we'll feed our wire through, right here. So we'll do that. You know what though, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tighten this down because we took this out and this needs to be tightened to torque specifications. So we'll go here and we'll see here. Torque specs for that is going to be on page 1811 of your textbook. Of course, you probably don't have this if you're looking at this video online. So I'll just tell you right now, it says 18 Newton meters. So for smaller torque specifications, I do like to use a more accurate torque wrench. So I'll use this one here and we'll set it to 18 Newton meters, right? And I'm a big believer in torque wrenches because they tend to snap metal bolts pretty easily. Not that I'm incredibly buff or anything, I'm just kind of ham-fisted. It's somewhere close to 18.9, but higher than 17.2. So that'll be fine. And we'll lock it in right there. We'll pull off our 8mm socket. And we'll tighten her up. Oh, there it goes. It's already at torque. And you can kind of hear the snap. There it goes. Bam. That's it. That's all you got to do for that. All right. and then you want to set your torque wrench back to 0 afterwards. We're going to safety wire the rear wheel. Like I said, it's not necessary unless you're racing or you just have a really persnickety track day organization and they want you to do this. So when you safety wire, you have to make sure that the wire is pulling the nut tighter, otherwise it doesn't count. And we'll use our handy dandy safety wire tool for this. Guess I'll grab it maybe a little bit further back, right there. I'm still figuring these out. So there we go. And whoop, now it's going the wrong way from where I set it. Yeah, we'll just go this way with it. Fuck it. Excuse me. All right, so we go like that, and that's good. You don't want too many twists in here because it'll weaken the wire, and that's probably slightly too many. I think it's something like 2 or 3 turns per inch. No, it's 5 or 6 turns per inch. But I'm not going to sit there and count the turns. And it is a little too much. So we're going to come back a little bit, undo some of it here. All right. And I'm just going to safety wire. I'm going to anchor it to the bolt that adjusts the chain tension. No. All right, and then we'll pull that through a little bit there. Oh, mine can be tighter than that. That's tight enough. And we'll go like this. Okay, I'm not actually gonna race. I'd probably redo this if I was. I'm just doing a track day with a new track organization, so I don't know really what their rules are gonna be. Typically, I would do it with Ride Smart. I want to try 316 too, eventually, because I like Ignacio. He used to be a Ride Smart instructor and started his own track day organization. But we're just going to do it like this right now. And just clip that and then tuck these in. You want to be careful where your safety wire ends up, especially the loose end pieces, because they will flatten the tire, believe it or not. There we go. Now, pretty much done. Only thing you gotta do now is hit the brake lever. You wanna pump it a little bit just to get the, there we go. Otherwise you'll go for your brakes and you won't have any, at least not for the first few pumps. So if you pre-pump it, now your brakes work again. And there we go. Ta-da! Thank you guys for watching. I'm sure we'll have a channel that you could subscribe to once we get it all set up and everything. I'll also try to post this on the CBR forums and on Reddit, because I'm a big Redditor. So you could probably see it there if you're not seeing it there. And hopefully you'll want to see some more videos that we do. I'm not a professional, but I can at least show you how to do it yourself.